Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include Ground Search and Rescue building renovation coming along nicely, the Public Library summer reading program. We spoke to Laurie Porter about the warning that was issued from the Calder Healthcare Centre last week. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack and more coming up after this.
WARAMP's key tags are a symbol of our work for child amputees. Through the CHAMP program, children receive the artificial limbs they need to lead active lives. As they grow up, the WARAMPs will be there, providing information, guidance, and so much more. The WARAMPs, amputees helping amputees. Thanks to your support of the key tag service, lost key return now by courier.
On Tuesday of this week, we visited the Ground Search and Rescue building to see how the renovations were coming along. According to Chess Dunford, foreman with the project, things are on schedule. This 8-week EI booster project is in its 4th week. The 12 by 22 extension to the existing building has been built, as is the 9 by 8 storage shed. When we visited, the 5 workers were very busy. 2 of them were putting the last of the lumber on the roof. The other 3 were putting shores under the existing building for more support and strength. Mr. Dunford stated that it was a great need for this storage area. Most of the equipment owned by the Ground Search and Rescue is now being stored at the RCMP and wildlife storage sheds. Other equipment is being taken care of by members of the organization. When the shed is completed, it will hold a 14-foot Zodiac, 2 engines, a 10-foot rescue bonnet, and a trailer. This storage area has been made bigger as well. It will be more convenient for members to get access to all the necessary equipment to do any rescue missions. Items like life jackets, coveralls, caps, radios, etc. will be stored in this area. With the completion of this project, the Ground Search and Rescue will have all their equipment stored in one area. On Wednesday, we visited the final story hour of the summer reading program at the public library. The summer reading program was organized by the student worker Leona Sims for 6 weeks. There were 13 children registered, with 5 to 7 children attending regularly. Before the children arrived, Miss Sims made jester hats for them to wear, since this was going to be a party. Throughout the 6-week period, Miss Sims read stories to the children, made crafts, and played games. At the end of the program, certificates were presented to each of the participants. The children appreciated the lunch and the goodie bags that were done in their honor. Congratulations to Miss Leona Sims on a job well done. Thank you.
That's the one that's me. I don't win on the top. I get win on the top.
She has excellent hearing, and no matter where you are, she always has what you need in her pocketbook. What she got? Juice?
Nope.
Just juice? It's great to have a grandma like mine. She's wonderful. Damn.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
WARAMP's key tags are a symbol of our work for child amputees. Through the CHAMP program, children receive the artificial limbs they need to lead active lives. As they grow up, the WARAMPs will be there, providing information, guidance, and so much more. The WARAMPs, amputees helping amputees. Thanks to your support of the key tag service, lost key return now by courier.
Mr. Jim Billard and Mr. Rick McDonald invited us to go along with them on one of their scheduled trips to the A.J. Matthews Elementary School to retrieve more supplies for the St. John's Central High School. The elementary section of the school is pretty much intact. There is an occasional hole in the wall like this one, which was made to determine what type of building material the school was made of, and to help determine how much it would cost to demolish the building. The cupboards in the teacher's staff room has been removed and will be relocated to Stephenville. The lockers will be taken over to the high school as well. The teachers have a big job on their hands come September, moving all of their things to the high school. A few water fountains have been carried over to the high school as well. Mr. Leonard Matthews and Mr. Bruce Green were taking some thermostats to the high school to replace the broken ones and the ones that didn't work at that school. In the gym, a section of ceiling was removed to see what type of building material was there, as was this section of wall, which revealed a steel beam. 3 door boxes, doors, and framing, along with 4 sinks and toilets, has found their way to the high school. On this visit, Mrs. Ann's grade 1 class was the target. The blackboard was removed and sawed to provide 2 boards for the classes at the other school. As you can see, some of the light fixtures have been removed as well as the bulletin board. As we walked through the school, we felt a little sad that these hallways would no longer ring with the voices and laughter of the children and teachers. The Calder Health Care Center issued an health warning on our community channel last week. Lori Porter told us more about it. Last week, Burgeo experienced higher temperatures and humidity than usual. The Calder Health Care Center treated 3 angina cases, several asthma cases, and a couple of cases of kidney stones. Ms. Porter stated that the statistics were higher than normal for our community. Doctors attribute these cases to mild, moderate dehydration. Dehydration occurs when the body loses too much water or fluid to carry on normal functions. During hot weather and humidity, people tend to sweat more and they don't remember to drink more to make up for lost fluids. And if extra precautions aren't taken, this could lead to dehydration. The vital organs like the brain, heart, lungs, and kidneys are forced to work harder due to the lack of circulation of blood, nutrients, and water. For example, the heart will work harder to try to function without proper volume of blood. Anyone with angina or heart disease will feel chest pains because of this extra workload. Some of the symptoms of dehydration are dry mouth or tongue, tiredness, dry skin, and decreased urine. The treatment is for you to increase your intake of fluids. Drinking at least 8 glasses or 2 liters of water or fluids per day will be sufficient. In more severe cases, people would need to be treated with intravenous fluids at the hospital. Ms. Porter also stated that the best thing for you to do on a hot, humid day, if you have any of these conditions, is to sit with your feet up, relaxing, instead of being active. The Education Committee are hoping to start having little health segments and information segments on our community channel come the fall, along, of course, with their monthly displays at the hospital. Mayor Ann dropped by our studio on Friday to give us an update on the plant situation. We have in our studio with us Mayor Ann. Welcome, Mayor Ann. Now, it's been some time since we've heard anything about the fish plant or anything at all concerning the fish plant, so have you been involved in anything?
Yes, most certainly have, Marie. It's I had hoped to bring the people up to par after our meeting that was scheduled for July. As the people probably well know, that we scheduled just one meeting for July and one for August. However, we couldn't get a quorum for our meeting in July, and so now hopefully we'll get one for August. However, I know that the people out there are wondering, is anyone doing anything? And I can assure them that over the past few months that we have not been sitting idly by, and that the fish plant have been very actively pursued.
Okay. Now, we understand some time ago that you met with the Federal Minister of Fisheries, Herb Dhaliwal, in St. John's. Now, can you tell us what the outcome of that meeting was?
Well, I think I'll have to go back a little further than that, Marie,
Okay.
to probably bring the people on side a little bit. Burgeo, I have been pursuing an initiative. This initiative is, the parties are Bill Matthews, Calvin Parsons, and a party which I am really not at liberty to disclose. And you know, I just got to keep this confidential because there could be repercussions and so on. So it's in everybody's best interest that, you know, this will be kept
So the third party,
confidential.
Okay.
This other party now, and also, I mean, and there's been our operators have been involved and so on. And we had several meetings, and as a result, we put together a very elaborate proposal. And I guess the short and long of it all is that the initiative, by the way, came from this end. So therefore, you know, what I'm trying to say is that no politician should be saying he's doing more for this town than some other town, because the initiative was generated from this end. It didn't come from Calvin, and it didn't come from Bill.
Okay.
And, you know, this is very clear because people are getting jumped on from neighboring towns and so on. So I want to make that this was something that...
Came from Burgeo.
It came from Burgeo
Okay.
partly, and this other party, which is in consultation with me at all times. So we met, and we put things together, we rolled it together, we put our case together, and we really put together, in my opinion, a very objective and good proposal to try and see if we couldn't get something. And one thing is crab, and the other thing we're still trying to work on is a bit of rosefish and so on. So we've done a lot of work, but I don't think we've accomplished a big lot, to be quite honest with you. However, after putting everything together, on Monday, July the 16th, I went to St. John's, and we sat down with the DFO bureaucrats and tried to influence them, guys like Jim Beard, Max Short, and so on, the guys who really got to say all and do all. The whole thing behind this has been, given the excellent catch rates of crab outside 200 miles, that, you know, would they evaluate the situations? And it was very, very disappointing. You know, I mean, I'll just give an example. And this was the boat operated by Clarence Cabot, and I'm sure there's people out there that know about it. And we quoted in our proposal an example of one landing. The following is an example of the catch rates reported at the time of preparing this proposal. Some harvesters in NAFO Division 3 and 0 have set 400 crab pots and have allowed them for fish for 18 hours, with a total catch of 61,000 pounds of crab. This is producing an average catch rate of nearly 150 pounds per pot. When compared to the industry average of 40 to 45 pounds per pot, it is phenomenal. And it is. You know, you just don't move, they tell me. If you're getting 40 to 50 pounds, 40 to 45 pounds per pot, you wouldn't move to a different area to fish or anything. This was taken by Clarence Cabot, averaging, you know, 150 pounds per pot. But there's no crab there. Remember, there's no crab there. We got into a very, very heated discussion there. You know, and I was laying it on the line and so on, as far as, you know, are you going to let us sink when the thing that can keep us moving is there, but you just won't give it to us? And Jim Baird, he just went completely berserk, that he didn't care about what Clarence Cabot was catching or what Mike Billard with FPI was landing for the Offshore Trawlermen's Co-op, or what Jim Strickland from Burgeo was saying was out there. They had a management plan, and as far as I'm concerned, he was saying hell can freeze over. We're not budging. So, you know, this got very heated. In fact, Bill Matthews, they just about came to blows. I can just assure you it was a very strong meeting. So as a result, we were going nowhere. We withdrew our proposal at that time. So I came back to Burgeo, now mind you, this is Monday. Then I believe it was Thursday. Bill called me. He said, Alistair, I've got a meeting set up with Herb at 7:45 on Saturday, July the 22nd. Can you make it? I said, no, good, I did. So I went in, and 6:45 that morning we sat down with Mr. Dhaliwal. And I must say he was very attentive, put everything together, made the proposal, and like I say, the man really did give us the attention that you think. He asked some questions. He had some of his assistants there with him. And I guess that's the best we could hope for. I mean, when we walked out, we knew that the meeting that was to follow was the one that he had on his mind, which was the meeting with Hefford and that crew on the shrimp thing. However, you know, maybe we shouldn't have had it that day. But according to Bill, he tried everything he could to get a different date in Ottawa for us to go up and meet. But the earliest he could get was the 18th of September. And he felt, and I felt, that, you know, when you come to the 18th of September meeting, October at the earliest for something, November, forget it. You're talking about the year 2001. So, I mean, the man, it was laid on the line to him about our history in the fishery, the $4.5 million, which the company had invested there last year and only got a couple of weeks' work out of. The history of Burgeo being a 52-week plant and so on. It was put there. And the way that I came across to Mr. Dhaliwal and to those bureaucrats, the Jim Beards, was that, you know, I think the bottom line I put to them in trying to draw an analogy was this, that to take a man and sit him on the table, tie his hands, put no food on the table, and starve him to death, that's one thing. But to take a person, tie his hands, and sit him at the table, and put food in front of him and starve him to death, to me, that's a crime. And our town is dying. As far as I'm concerned, our hands are tied. And it's not because there's not food or a resource to have us working. That's the way I put it, and that's the way I feel about it.
So the meeting, excuse me, with Mr. Dhaliwal didn't go as well as you had thought it would?
Well, the meeting went, I think, as well as I thought it would, yes.
But the end result?
Well, you know, I guess we all got to size up what Mr. Dhaliwal is, and it seems like nobody can draw a number on him, you know. And Bill said after, he said, very good meeting, but he said, you know,
It's not going anywhere.
It's probably not going anywhere.
Okay.
But at least we put it there.
Okay.
And he's gone off with what we put together. At least it's there. It's in Ottawa. And you know, it's very frustrating. I've got to say this. But when I departed Mr. Dhaliwal, I took one of our Burgeo council pens and I put it in his lapel. And I told him, I said, every time you look at that, you remember the town that's starved. And I've written quite a few letters in the last couple of months, and I'll just refer to now. This is a response to some of my letters, and I'll read them prior to my meeting with Mr. Dhaliwal and prior to my meeting with the bureaucrats. And here's a response to, what was it? I think it's 3 of my letters. He said, Dear Mayor Ann, thank you for your letters of February the 15th, March the 9th, and June the 7th, wherein you request consideration of an allocation of snow crab, as well as a July or August mid-season assessment of the snow crab fishery outside 200 miles in Northwest Atlantic Fisheries Organization Division 3 LNO. I regret the delay in responding because I just got that this week. The first letters you take notice was February the 15th. The latest scientific advice was provided 3 months ago and suggests there has been a substantial decline in the resource overall, with recruitment prospects looking unfavorable over the short to medium term. Although this decline appears to be more severe in northern areas, the resource outside 200 miles has also declined. Notwithstanding the significant demand on resources that an interim review entails, there is already a commitment for a full review of the fishery at the end of this season as per the April 9th, 1999 announcement of the 1999-2001 Snow Crab Management Plan for Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you again for bringing this matter to my attention. I regret my response could not be more favorable. Yours sincerely, Herb Dhaliwal. Now, that letter there, in response to my 3, was written by Mr. Bureaucrat personified. Believe you me, it's his signature, but Mr. Bureaucrat wrote that one for him. And as I said, after my meeting with Mr. Dhaliwal, I came back and not wanting him to forget that he'd met with me, I left it for a week or so, and I wrote him off another letter. So I says, Dear Minister Dhaliwal, on behalf of the people of Burgeo, I would like to thank you for meeting with MP Bill Matthews, Minister Kelvin Parsons, and myself on Saturday, July the 22nd, 2000. I realize that your meeting with us was not as high profile as your meeting that followed. However, shrimp and adjacency will mean nothing to our town if it no longer exists. Minister Dhaliwal, sometimes there is not enough time for a scientific, bureaucratic decision, and there must be a political decision. This is one of those times. I urge you to give our proposal due consideration. If logic, common sense, and compassion is used, then I feel certain you would decide in favor of a 3,000-ton crab allocation to us this fall. Once again, thanks for giving me an opportunity to explain our case and present our proposal. So he's answered a lot of letters, but he still haven't officially answered our meeting in St. John's or responded to this. So I just want to tell the people that, you know, we are working, we're working hard. I hope the initiative would go through. I really don't know, you know, it's, I really don't know where to turn from here. What we've got to have for Burgeo is a community quota. There are towns that got community quotas. And you know, if anybody's memory can go back, that during the NEOS fiasco which went on in 1999, the big concern of the union was that if the NEOS deal went through, quotas would be taken from one town, carried to another town. And eventually there would only be 2 or 3 towns at the whim of the companies that they found the most profitable that would exist. Well, you know, I think the union membership in this town should be very much aware that after the NEOS thing was over, the union has adopted a policy that they will not support community quotas. Now, the big concern with the NEOS thing was that the companies could transfer the quotas. Once you get community quotas, there is the protection for the communities, which the union does not support. Now, I've put this home good and solid in writing and verbally to as high up as they go. So, you know, I mean, when we go back and look today, you're looking at it was plant workers that started this union. Make no mistake about it. The people in Burgeo are well aware of that. Fishermen helped, but it was initiated and moved and run by plant workers. But who's hurting today? How many fishermen do you know of as over picking apples? How many plant workers do you know? So I think it's time that the membership, the plant workers, start to put ultimatums to their union. Say, Mister, we formed you. Stand up for us. And they really should. And you know, maybe I'm all wit behind ears. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't really know. But I'm sitting back. We're waiting. People are working on behalf of the people of Burgeo, as far as I'm concerned, and we're trying to do our best.
So now, was the union involved in this initiative that you got here?
They were aware of it. They were aware of it. There's no two ways about it, yes. Not very deeply involved, believe you me.
Was that because they weren't invited, or that was their choice?
Oh, no. They were invited, and they were there. They had one representative who was also involved.
In your opinion, does it seem to come around when we're dealing with this crab and all this initiatives and whatnot? Does it seem to you that it comes around to be the unions again?
I'm not
And a
saying
political game?
Well, it definitely is a political
Yeah.
game. There's no two ways about it, I mean, I don't know what the answer is in the fishery, to be quite honest with you, but there's certain things that attracts the attention. But you've got a whole stretch of coast there which is dying. It doesn't seem to me like it's attracting a lot of attention. And I see in the Navigator, anybody who subscribes to that paper, that the Offshore Fishermen's Co-op have started building their new, I believe she's over 100 feet as well, a brand new vessel to harvest crab. Boats being built at Glovertown. Now, I'm not going to fill in any blanks there, but everybody can fill in their own
yeah,
and get the
exactly.
Navigator, read
Yeah.
the story, and so on. But I doubt very much if that boat is being built, knowing that they're not going to get any crab.
Well, exactly. That's what my point was going to be, that it seems awful suspicious that if there's such a downturn in the crab, as we were told earlier in the year, for a fisherman to be going out and building bigger boats and put himself in debt, so to speak, to catch something that's not there.
Right.
So they're not listening to the people, like you said in one of your previous interviews, that the scientists are covering their own behind. But remember when we were talking about, they said no, the snow crab wasn't there, the crab wasn't there, but the catches that was brought in to Burgeo in October, November, and December of last year, what proved that the crab was there. So we're almost going around, just running around chasing our own tail, so to speak.
Well, that's what our town is doing.
Yes.
I think there's people out there who's got a fix on this. They're the ones who say we don't give out quotas and we don't do this and we don't do that. They don't, but they've got big influence.
Okay.
Believe you me, or that's my opinion. And I really don't know. Anybody who's been watching the news in the last couple of days, I look at the Aboriginals over in Burnt Church, and these people are not sitting back. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it all, but they've equipped themselves, and they said, "No, sir, we're not starving. Fish out there, we're going out and get it." We don't have the vessels in Burgeo to do this. Me? I think the union has the equipment. They have the leadership. This is a role for them to play. They want to do something here. Get the boat. Get the crew. We're going. We're going, mister. We're not sitting down starving. But none of them have contacted me and said that's what they should do, and I don't think that they are going to do it. And so there it is. All I can say to the people of Burgeo is this. If you've got a chance, after my meetings and so on, we're into the month of August. If you've got a chance for a job, by all means, go take it. I'm sure if something comes around to open the plant, that you'll be able to scrabble back and avail of it. But there it is. I can't deliver anything else. And no, I'm not very optimistic. I'll be quite honest about it. Not optimistic at all. That's something that's maybe in the year 2001. I don't know, because I guess we all say maybe next year. We've been saying maybe next year for quite a few years, but I don't know. I'm sure some of them have said, what have happened to Alistair? You don't air him on the open line anymore, or one thing or the other. Now, I haven't heard anybody say that, but I mean, this is the kind of question I would ask. No, because I don't know if you accomplished anything. It's probably fallen on deaf ears. But there certainly is nothing to stop anyone in the town of Burgeo. You don't have to be a town councillor. You don't have to be the mayor or one or the other. Just the common Joe there in the street and pick up that line and phone into that open line show and let people know that Burgeo's here. I don't know if it'll do any good or not.
Most certainly can't hurt.
Well, probably can't.
Excuse me. Recently, there's been an announcement that our MP, Bill Matthews, has been appointed Secretary to the Queen's Privy Council and to the Intergovernmental Affairs. Now, I'm not a very political person, so what do you think that means for us? Anything or nothing?
Well, it means, you know, that our MP is no longer just a straight MP in the sense that he's going to be privy to a lot of goings-on. I'm sure, now, and I'm not that political when it gets up to the Ottawa level either, I assure you, but, you know, it means that he's got a little bit more in, and I guess this is my wishful thinking again, that I'm hoping that maybe the Prime Minister is going to have to give Dhaliwal a knock across the fingers, in the sense that he'll move him from that post to another post, which will leave an opening. And like I say, this is wishful thinking, believe you me, and that Bill could walk in that role. Because I certainly feel that if, I think Bill has got the guts, that if he can get the job for even 6 months, he'll do the right thing. Okay. Now, this is what I think. Maybe he'll let me down. I don't know those things. I'm only what you do on a day-to-day basis with a person, you know. But, you know, you have got to look at it. Bill across the floor, he's certainly not the longest MP, Liberal MP up there. And there's Lawrence O'Brien, which is an assistant to the Minister of Fisheries. And apparently, from what I can get, that this appointment of Bill's is a little step above that. You've got Jerry Byrne, who's supposed to be high profile, didn't get it. So Bill's got it. So
in other words, right
somebody
now,
got their eye on Bill for something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In other words, like this appointment that he got, that he's going to have the ear of people that normally he wouldn't have the ear of.
I think
in a
so.
situation where, like in the Parliament, obviously, that you got the ears of everyone. But in this capacity as Secretary to the Queen's Privy Council, he might be in a room with smaller numbers of people who might be, you know, of course, he can kind of push your incentive.
The people who's in the know.
Yeah.
And I think that, now it's just from me looking at it, the intergovernmental affairs one, you know, the interactions between governments and so on, and no doubt will play a very significant role there. And
you never know.
It's the only optimistic thing I got.
Okay. Well, anyway, well, thank you very much for coming in and talking with us today.
Okay, and thank you, Marie, for giving me the opportunity today.
Okay, you're welcome. Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
No lawnmower cut off my foot. I slipped down to wet feet and got my hand caught in mixer tube.
And I went right under the boat, and the motor, it cut my leg.
In a new video by the War Amps called Spot the Danger, kids in the CHAMP program warn that safety is no accident. For more information about the Play Safe program or Spot the Danger, please contact the War Amps.
Play safe.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of scenes of the squid jigging ground. Let's look back to 1989. BBS Playbill. Next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. we will have religious revelations from the Faith United Church. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night and God bless.